Blaze here, welcome back to another Discotek panel overview video. If you've landed on this video and you want to watch the real thing, link in the description, pin comment, click there, you'll get to watch the actual Discotek media panel overview, or the panel video. This is just an overview, this is just me, Anime Otaku, talking about the stuff that was announced, and that's basically it. So yeah, just giving my own take on it. A number of you out there I know do enjoy these videos, and I do enjoy making them. This is one of the first years where I got very close to not making it though, mainly because I just don't have the time at the moment. It's very fortunate that this 3-hour window I have right now to make this video exists. Normally it doesn't, so that's quite convenient. And also this panel, or this Otakon panel, honestly, I was sort of disappointed by it. I gotta be real, I'm looking at stuff that we're going to be talking about to some extent, but yeah, I was sort of disappointed by it. Like, I don't know if I've just gotten very spoiled over the years, I guess. I think that the sort of the separation that's occurred with Discotek, well, separation's a weird word, but like the idea that their focus isn't so much on anime anymore as it is on anime, tokusatsu, Nihon Nights, and a little bit of cartoons, which is fine, but anime is my main draw. That's really pretty much all I care about, and like I feel like the anime stuff has been sort of cool, but like just not as much. So like, and because I've been used to being spoiled, I suppose, really, that nowadays it's not quite as exciting. I always come away from these panels slightly disappointed. So yeah, I probably have been spoiled, quite simply. But anyway, we're 2 minutes into this introduction. Let's just get into it, shall we? Because there's quite a few things to get through. Animeigo held their panel at the same time. They really didn't announce very much, so I'm going to add that stuff in as and when appropriate as we go through the sections. So rather than following it exactly the same as what Discotek did in their panel video, I'm going to do it anime first, then we're going to touch on, I forgot how I've done it, I've written it all down. Then we're going to touch on a couple of cartoons, and then some of the tokusatsu stuff, and then the Nihon Night stuff at the end, basically in order of caring on my part, I suppose. So, the panel opened with Crayon Shin-chan. This is obviously not going to be just the original series, Japanese subtitled, because it goes for like well over 1,000 episodes. It's been running since the early 90s. No, this is going to be the Funimation somewhat gag dub from like the mid-2000s. There were 78 episodes of it. It came out at a similar time to when they were doing Sergeant Frog. Sergeant Frog had a more or less straight dub, except they would throw in, well, I suppose I've never done like a true comparison. I feel like the dub was mainly more in line with the original, just with like much more westernized jokes, I guess, that would hit better. Maybe not. Well, definitely had that, but maybe it wasn't as close to the original as I think it is. Anyway, in this terms of this Crayon Shin-chan dub, I'm pretty sure it's yeah, very much more in the gag sort of category, if you will. It changes quite a lot. I never owned any of the DVDs. I remember them being around for this. I never bought them. I did have an interest in it, but I don't know, it never came across my radar. Like, I never had the money at the right time it was there to be bought. I don't know, I just never owned any of it, I'm pretty darn sure. I now suddenly have this weird recollection in my mind that I might have owned part 1 at one time, but I don't remember watching it, so probably not. Anyway, the fact this is going to be a complete set, and it's pretty much the only time we're ever going to get any of the Shin-chan TV series come out from anybody, even in this form, I'm considering it, but I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I might get it. I also might not. Whatever, Crayon Shin-chan, it's cool, but like, kind of a weird opener, actually. Like, that feels like something you would stick in the middle. I don't know, it didn't seem like sort of like the big opener sort of thing. I mean, it was kind of cool, but like, yeah, sort of in line with how I feel like Discotek are at the moment, where it's like a lot of just mopping up what's been left behind by the big companies in the 2000s, and that's a lot of what they're doing at the moment, and not a lot of like the cooler, to me at least, like first time ever releases of like retro anime and stuff. Although there is at least one of those. Yes, there's at least one of those in this entire panel. Anyway, moving on from that, they next talked about Castle Cagliostro, which they've already released twice. This is the Blu-ray version, and then they did a 4K version. Interestingly, of course, you might have noticed that this new Blu-ray steelbook is just Blu-ray. This steelbook comes with a new dub, with the Richard Epcar dub for Lupin, Tony Oliver and all that. So yeah, the Genian cast that we all know and love for the first time got their hands on and got to do a dub for Castle Cagliostro, making it the third English dub. These both include two already. They include the manga UK dub and the Streamline Pictures dub, I believe that's correct. Yeah, both 1992 and 2000. I believe 1992 was Streamline and 2000 was manga. Obviously, David Hayter, voice of Solid Snake, voiced Lupin in the manga dub, or maybe the Streamline one. I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, like I said, interestingly, it's only going to be on Blu-ray. This 4K is based on the Japanese 4K. It's smeary. They rubbed out all the film grain in that great Japanese way that unfortunately quite a few anime have suffered. It just doesn't look very nice. Also, I'm pretty sure this has got forced HDR, which means that I've not even watched it. I have a 4K player, I don't have a 4K TV. I bought the 4K player as a future-proofing thing, and because, you know, it was a FOMO thing. I have like an Oppo UDP 203 or whatever it's called, like not the really fancy one, but the slightly less fancy one. But like these are like the most premium 4K players available. They don't even make them anymore. I bought that because I really wanted to own an Oppo for years, and then they were discontinuing ever making Blu-ray and 4K players. So I decided to drop everything I was doing, sell a bunch of stuff, and make sure that I got one forever. And I absolutely love that thing. I don't care. It was way overpriced, but I don't care. I absolutely adore my Oppo, and I use it all the time, and it's brilliant. But so yeah, it's cool to have it, and I do have, as such, I have a 4K player, but I don't have a 4K TV. I have a 1080p TV from like 2010, which I love, but obviously it doesn't do HDR. So yeah, normally when I watch a 4K disc, I'm more or less just enjoying it for that little bit of extra detail, which is really, you know, on a 32-inch TV. Probably not seeing a lot of it, but yeah, whenever I do watch a 4K, that would be the thing. I mean, I bought this because it was Lupin, so I had to get it. But yeah, long story short on this, obviously that it's really smeary, as I said, doesn't have the film grain, so it's interesting that, yeah, I wonder if this just didn't get received very well. Maybe the folks at Discotek, like Justin and the like, were probably like, yeah, let's just not bother doing it on 4K again. So yeah, the Blu-ray steelbook is just Blu-ray with the new dub. So yeah, kind of curious. I don't know what I'm going to do with these at this point. It does feel kind of crazy to have bought a third edition. At the very least, I should probably get rid of this version, the Blu-ray version, and then just keep the 4K, but we'll see. But anyway, yeah, that one's really cool. It's sort of weird. I can't recall. I do recall. I can't remember which panel it was though. Like, I don't remember if it was Otakon last year or the New Year's panel, but they mentioned something to do with Lupin that they couldn't announce yet. I assume it was probably Otakon last year. I don't know if this is the thing they were talking about, because they did eventually do Lupin, the 2015 movie, or 2014, whatever it was, the live action one from Japan, which is not very good, but I do have that now. I didn't bring it to hand, but yeah, I do own that now. And yeah, it was sort of, yeah, I don't know if it was that, but they just announced that there was something they were working on, but they didn't quite have the go-ahead to announce yet, and I don't know if this was it, like the Richard Epcar, like Tony Oliver classic Genian pioneer Lupin cast doing Castle Cagliostro. But yeah, looking forward to it, but like at the same time it's like, man, it's really starting to again, so it sounds so spoiled. So I should really phrase this, bring back how I'm phrasing it really, because it's not not the end of the world by any means. But it's just like, man, I would really, really love to put those DVD only specials on Blu-ray, like to have those on Blu-ray. And in the case of like Green versus Red, I think it's ripe for a dub, and like it's sort of disappointing that it doesn't seem to be getting one. I know it's not like the most beloved special, but it was like an anniversary special, and like I said, because it's two Lupins going up against each other, Red Jacket versus Green Jacket, I just feel like there's a load of fun things you can do with a dub with that, so it just seems ripe for it, but we'll see. I've mentioned that loads of times anyway, so yeah. Next up was the Urotsukidoji sequels. So this was the one of the, I think it was the final thing they announced at the New Year's panel, wasn't it? So yeah, they were putting out the original Urotsukidoji Legend of the Overfiend Hentai OVA movie thing on Blu-ray via Film Masters that they'd managed to get a hold of, and they cleaned them all up and it looked amazing. Urotsukidoji looking amazing, yes. Yeah. So, well, now they're putting out all the sequels to, yeah, that. I do own it. Still not watched it. So, yeah, I had the Media Blasters OVA, Blu-ray, sorry, which looked really bad. And I just never watched it. I never had the desire to really, like, I do like horror anime, and this is obviously going to have a lot of gross stuff in it, but the fact it's also just going to be like really pervy and just like, I don't know, it just doesn't really interest me a whole lot. But because this was a vault find effectively, and I really like cel animation, and it's just one of those things, it's just like, if there's a cel anime on Blu-ray that has like a proper HD scan, I kind of want to get it regardless of what it is. So that was the case with this. Unfortunately, I didn't necessarily anticipate, well, I suppose I should have anticipated it, but I didn't necessarily anticipate Discotek putting out all the sequels as well. But they are, and as a result, I'll probably get that to complete the collection. If I'll ever watch it though, it's very unlikely, but I feel like I should probably get that to complete the collection. So the sequels are, I think there's 4 of them, so Urotsukidoji 2, 3, 4 and 5. I think 2, 3 and 4 have movies and OVAs. This is all from memory of looking at this yesterday. I rewatched the panel yesterday, because I knew I'd have the time to record this. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2, 3 and 4 have movies and OVA cuts, and then the 5th one is just an OVA. And I believe they all have dubs as well, which is crazy. Some of these are being released for the first time in Japanese. Yeah, this comes out relatively soon as well, I think, was like before the end of the year, which is one thing to keep in mind, actually, like, just slide this in out of nowhere, but like, something I have to keep reminding myself is that Discotek have just changed the way they announce stuff, and now they're basically just announcing stuff for the very near future, so, you know, like, what they're announcing is coming very quickly, which means, you know, eventually they'll have to announce new stuff, and they will be, and yeah, so it's like, the wait is never going to be that long for something that you might be looking forward to, hopefully, that might be coming out. So anyway, whatever, if that made any sense. Anyway, yeah, so Urotsukidoji OVAs, sequels, and then another one that I gotta be real with you guys, doesn't really hit for me. I was about to say, I'm not even sure I'll bother with it. I probably will. But yeah, they announced they're going to be doing Golden Boy on Blu-ray. Unfortunately, this is going to be an upscale. I do already have the Discotek DVD. I've watched this once before in my life. This is one of those weird... Golden Boy is a weird one for me, where it feels like it has like this huge fan following, which I don't find that strange as such. It's more that it's got a long tail on it. It's like, it feels like people see this way more than like other classic anime, because for some reason this has like this innate fandom, if that's even the right word for that, or even how you say that, like fandom in the US, whereby, you know, you're going to get people that go, okay, I've gotten into anime, I'm watching all the new stuff on Crunchyroll, blah, 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 blah. What's the classic stuff? And, like, people just list off some classic stuff, and it's always the same culprits, and for some reason Golden Boy gets in that conversation, where for me it doesn't really stand out as anything overly special, outside of the fact that it came out in the West with dubs back in the day from ADV, I believe, on VHS and things. So, and it's just had this long tail as a result, because it's just been this thing that people recommend for decades at this point, despite the fact, like in my opinion, it's really not that amazing. Like, it's fine, but like, it's not one of the great OVAs ever made. Certainly not even close. It's just in middle of, well, maybe slightly above good, like, OVA, but like nothing amazing. Like, it doesn't deserve to be in the conversation of when I think of like the best OVAs ever made, like Megazone and Bubblegum Crisis and Gunbuster and, you know, things like that. Just doesn't really fit. And then it doesn't also fit in terms of like the recommendations people will make of all classic anime, like, oh, like Cowboy Bebop and Berserk and Evangelion and Golden Boy, and I'm like, dude, what? One of those clearly doesn't belong, and it's this one. But anyway, so yeah, and unfortunately the Blu-ray is upscaled. It didn't look particularly great in the panel footage. They didn't necessarily pretend that it was going to be looking overly great. It's one of those ones where I don't really get why they're doing it, other than the fact they know it will sell. This has been out of print for a while, I think, maybe. Actually, I don't know. It might not have been. It's just, like I said, it's one of those things, they even mentioned in the past, one of those things that people keep asking us about. When are you going to do Golden Boy and Blu-ray? When are you going to do Golden Boy and Blu-ray? It's like, well, they don't have, there's no film masters available, supposedly. So the only option is to upscale it, and the masters aren't that great, so it's just not going to look that great. They're not going to do Astro Res, which seems to have gone by the by recently. Outside of Digimon, they don't seem to be talking about it, although I think there might be. I'm sort of hoping they're going to do something with it. We'll get to that. But like in general, yeah, like Astro Res seems to not be in the conversation for a lot of these things that could really do with it. Like this one, although I would imagine this probably has ghosting issues, which means you can't do Astro Res with it, so maybe that's the reason, actually, now I think about it. But yeah, whatever. It does, the reason why I probably will end up with the Blu-ray is that I do want to have it in the collection. I would like to give it another chance, just because everyone holds this in such high regard, despite the fact I don't think it deserves it, as I went through. But also, it's coming with extras that aren't on this, including a commentary with Doug Smith, who did the who's the main actor for Kintaro, isn't it? Yes, Kintaro. So yeah, Golden Boy, just like a ecchi comedy OVA. Like I would put Tenchi Muyo above Golden Boy in terms of like something that is classic and OVA and you should watch. Like I just don't get the weird fandom around this. I really don't. Like, I remember doing one of those anime opening like quiz videos, and like Golden Boy was in easy, and I was just like, really? The Golden Boy opening is apparently easy and one that I should just know, but you know, it's weird. I don't get it. I just don't put it in that category in the slightest. Anyway, so that's Golden Boy. Next up is one that I didn't think was going to happen ever, quite frankly, and it was something that I watched the panel with a friend of mine, RGI the anime guy, and yeah, as this was happening, I was like, they said they weren't going to do this. They're liars. They're liars. They did address this. They really did say that. Oh, that's not happening. Obviously, at the time, that was true, I assume. It always confused me though. It never made sense to me why they wouldn't be able to. I can only assume that there must have been some weird license thing going on somewhere to do with one of these films of Sergeant Frog. So here is my current complete collection of the TV series, all 358 episodes. I need to watch this. I want to watch this. This is one of the longest anime out there that I haven't watched and would really like to. Because, you know, I've watched like 1,000+ episodes of One Piece. I've done Naruto Shippuden and things. Like the only other one I can think of obviously is Detective Conan, but I just don't imagine me ever watching like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes of like an episodic mystery series. Like, it just doesn't seem very likely to me that I would ever do that. So that's why I tend to watch the movies for Detective Conan instead. But yeah, this is just one of those shows that I would really, really love to eventually watch. This is totally unnecessary, but I kind of want to watch way more classic mecha and sunrise anime in general, so when they reference it in these shows, which they inevitably do, especially Gundam stuff, I'll hopefully get the reference. Sorry about that. The doorbell just went, and I have no idea where I was, other than I was talking about Sergeant Frog movies. So yeah, let's try and get back on course. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Sergeant Frog movies. I didn't think they were going to do them. They said they weren't going to. They are. Apparently they're all coming out in one complete set, which I'm really, really happy about, because in Sergeant Frog there are 5 frogs. And the sets are basically colour-coded for the frogs. Well, to some extent, but at the very least, well, they are colour-coded, I guess. As you can see, only 4 of the frogs made it to the spines. Hopefully, and I'm sure it will, the final set with the movies will come with the final frog on it. I forget his name right now, but yeah, and then we'll have all 5 frogs represented for the entire Sergeant Frog collection. Basically the only thing that would be missing, and I don't really expect it, although maybe they'll do it, just as an addition, an extra thing, is that there was a weird, like, I can't remember, like 2014 or something, they did like a little mini series of like 12 episodes. It wasn't really normal Sergeant Frog though, it wasn't just more of it, it was slightly different. I can't really remember, but yeah, there is that. But I'm really happy they're doing the movies, really, really pleased about that. They're all going to be in high definition as well, so that's really, really nice. And it'd be cool to have all this and eventually watch it all. I have seen, I believe I've seen everything on this set. I don't know why I feel the need to bring this up, but unfortunately my season 1 slipcover has damage. It got damaged in post, which really sucks. That's worse than having the corners crushed, that's for sure. I don't even know how that happened, but it did. Anyway, Sergeant Frog. Right, on to the next thing. Okay, so next up is something that is actually my announcement of the show, and it's not going to be what you think it is. We'll get into why what you might thought it was isn't when we talk about it. But so yeah, my favourite announcement of the show was Zegapain. So this is a Sunrise mecha series from the mid-2000s that I've been just dying to own again, because I had it in the art box. It was the only way that show ever got released, was across 6 volumes in a really cool art box. I'll try and find pictures of it. It's really, really nice. And I used to own it, and I watched it, and I really enjoyed this show. It was really good. And obviously, in around 2011, Bandai went under, you know, stopped being a company, and basically all their stuff obviously went out of print, including Zegapain and lots of other stuff. Anyway, I can't remember if it was 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere around there, probably around 2013. I can't remember which panel convention it was at. I think it was Anime New York, but I might be wrong. It might have even been Otakon. Basically, Sentai and Funimation both did deals to rescue basically everything that Sunrise had ever put out with Bandai, apart from the Gundam stuff, because they did that deal with Right Stuff instead. So anything that wasn't Gundam was going to suddenly come out from Sentai Filmworks and Funimation. Sentai Filmworks were going to be putting out Zegapain as part of that deal. Now, Sentai Filmworks have some really talented artists behind the scene. They make really nice packaging. I was trying to save space, and one of the few times ever I decided to take the gamble on getting rid of the set that was worth a lot of money before replacing it, because it was going to come out eventually. So I was just kind of along the lines of thinking of just like, well, I'll get rid of it now. Well, the price is high because it will come down once this re-release comes out, and I'll just get the Sentai DVD set when that comes out. So I did that. Sold it. Sentai DVD release never ever came. In fact, only the Big O, The Big O was the only freaking thing that Sentai put out from that deal. We're still waiting on everything else. Except now, Zegapain and a few others actually. Like Discotek also did Overman King Gaina? Yeah. Yeah. That thing. I can't remember the name of it right now. But that was another one that was supposed to originally come out from Sentai as part of that rescue as well. Unfortunately, that was one that I did have a nice compact edition already on DVD and did eventually get the Discotek Blu-ray and got rid of that. But yeah, so Zegapain, one of the other ones I'm really hoping will come out from Discotek as part of that old Sentai bunch was Better Man, which does have a Blu-ray in Japan, which looks pretty terrible for various reasons. We'll see what Discotek do with it, but fingers crossed Discotek will have it and do something with it. Anyway, but so yeah, Zegapain is coming out, and I really, really enjoy the show. It's a really interesting mecha series. As Mike Toole mentioned in the panel, this is like one of the the hidden gems of the mid-2000s that a lot of people haven't seen, and people should have done. I wonder almost if it just came... I think it came out like about a year before Code Geass, and I wonder if this Code Geass sort of stole its thunder, really. They're not similar shows at all, really, but like it's just... They both have very good stories, and I just wonder if Code Geass, when that came out, you know, like I say, it just stole its thunder, and that became the new big hit mecha show, and anything that came out before it and the years prior just sort of got forgotten as a result. I don't know, but yeah, Zegapain is really cool. Really nice additions for this though is that Discotek are also including ADP, which is a 2016 movie, which is part recap, part prequel, which I've never seen. That's going to be included in the set, and really, really cool. They're also including Zegapain STA, which is a 2024 film. I assume it's a sequel. I don't really know too much about it, but yeah. So that only came out last year, and that's also being included. Both of those are going to be Japanese and English subtitles, but take what we can get. The original series was dubbed back in the day by Bandai. It's really, really cool. You should definitely buy this one, I think. If you like mecha, you should definitely be buying this one. And as I said, this is probably my announcement of the show. Yes, more than that other one. This is my announcement of the show. This is the one I'm really, really excited about, and very pleased I'll be able to finally rectify that wrong of having sold that art box back in the day, and I can have it on Blu-ray. Plus the series is in HD anyway, like it was made in high definition. It will look really good on Blu-ray, so there's that too. Okay, following on from that, what do we have? Digimon Movie Collection 2. Nothing's changed. I still don't really care about Digimon. I have not bought the first collection. I was thinking for quite a while that I probably would buy it, but it turns out that I thought the first couple of movies were cel animated, and I thought, well, it'd be nice to own them for that. Like, I like seeing cel animated widescreen, like cinematic type looking productions. Like, I don't really care what they are at some point. I just like to see them. It's a style that I think it's a style that we don't have anymore, and I feel like it's somewhat underappreciated just how different it actually does look, and like just how much different an experience it is to see cel animated anime and animation in general that was made for the big screen as opposed to like just television and things. Like, it can look incredible. I believe the first Digimon movie, which might only be 20 minutes long, is cel animated, I think, but I'm not sure. Because Digimon inherently, digital monsters, it was made at the end of the 90s into the early 2000s, all this stuff. So there's loads of like effects in it. That doesn't mean it looks bad, and that's not really a detraction from it, or whatever the right words would be. But yeah, it does mean my enthusiasm for them wanes a little bit more, and as a result, I've not made the jump. I don't really care about Digimon. If I was ever to get anything Digimon, though, it would probably be these two movie collections, but I know I'd be missing out on so much context that I just don't think it's really worth it. Digimon has quite a lot more going on compared to just the traditional like Pokemon stuff, where I feel like you really can just jump in with the knowledge of like, here's Ash, he's a Pokemon trainer, here's his companions, they're also Pokemon trainers, and oh look, this thing's happening, maybe they can get involved and help. That's basically what all the Pokemon movies are, so you really can just jump in on all those. I feel like Digimon is a bit more complicated with that, and there's a lot more going on with the monsters in general and just the whole setup, that without that extra context it's a bit more difficult to just jump in. But anyway, if I'm ever going to get these Digimon anything, it will be these collections, but at the moment I kind of doubt that will ever happen. But I'm happy for all of you out there that clearly love Digimon, because a lot of you clearly do. I think I'm just that little bit older, like not a whole lot older, but just that old enough where it was like Pokemon is my monster catching thing and my only monster catching thing, because I was the perfect age for Pokemon when it came out. I was 10 when Pokemon came out in English. That's literally the perfect age, I think. And then you know, after, within a few years, Digimon came out, but by then I was basically a teenager and starting to care about other stuff and get into fucking new metal and all this shit and all that terrible crap. So yeah, whatever. Okay, so moving on. Where are we? Okay, now we come to the big thing. So this is the thing that bookmarked the end of like the panel in person at Otakon. Yeah, I mean when the trailer started, I was like, wow, because I know the context around this and everything, and why people were so desperate for it, and why this would have been such a big announcement. But yeah, obviously Monster is coming to Blu-ray from Discotek. Hooray! It's finally going to come out in English in its entirety on home video. Huzzah! I hear you say. If you didn't know, this actually did happen in Australia already. So Siren Visual, former company in Australia, put out all of Monster on DVD. I've had this in its entirety for about 10 years now, I believe, somewhere around there. 10 or 8 years, I believe about 10 years. So yeah, I've had the ability to watch all of Monster with the English dub, you know, in a good enough resolution, given the show was pretty much made in SD. This Blu-ray will be in HD. We'll get into something to do with that in a minute. But yeah, I've had the option and the ability to watch it, and I have done. I've watched the series twice now. Absolutely love it. 10 out of 10. One of the greatest anime ever made. Obviously, the context for why this is a big thing in America is that the only time it ever got a physical release on DVD was via Viz Media, and it was just the first 15 episodes, and that was that. It never got any more. It seemed to be the reason was that Urasawa is very strict when it comes to the handling of his properties, and in general the cost and like how much he thinks they're worth and things. I believe it's something along those lines, and basically Viz were like, we're just not selling enough to justify the cost of releasing more. It's just not happening. I always found it strange, because I was under the impression that Viz dubbed the whole thing, and I was like, why would you dub everything and then not actually ever release it all? Like it would just get a run on Sci-Fi on television and that would be that. But Brady said on the panel that the dub was actually exclusive originally to Hulu, so I don't know if it was a Hulu-made dub, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about, given that would have been like mid-2000s. I think that DVD release from Viz came out in about 2007 or something, so I don't know if Hulu was, I assume it was around then, but would it have really had an exclusive dub? I don't know. But anyway, whatever, basically that was 15 episodes is all America ever had, and if you didn't bother to import this, which is long out of print now, then yeah, the only option you had were those 15 episodes or watching it online via various means, although it did eventually get a run on Netflix as well, but curiously without the dub. Discotek's version will come with the dub. I mean, this is coming in 2026. They said that they've announced this one a little bit early, but they wanted something big to announce, and obviously this is pretty big. It's a pretty big announcement for them to do. So some of the details are sort of missing. Like I said, we know it's on Blu-ray. They claim it's going to be in HD. I guess we'll get into that. So This show looks like it upscales pretty well from what I've seen online of people doing it themselves. It seems to upscale quite nicely. So it could just be they're just going to do a straight upscale. But I do wonder if they would be tempted to do this Astro Res. Like, it's a lot of episodes. It's 75 episodes. Or 74, something like that. So yeah, it's a very, very long show for them to do that. But it's monster. Like, if you can Astro Res it and make it look even more incredible, I feel like that's something that you would do. But also, like I said, I'm pretty sure this show just upscales fine as is, so it could just be a case of them not doing that. So yeah, Monsters from 2004, I believe. So yeah, it probably should look fine just upscaled normally, so don't expect Astro Res, but I was just wondering in my mind when that was announced that maybe that's something they'll do. It's been a while since I've watched Monster, to be quite frank. Like a good 6-7 years at this point, but yeah, it's one of the best anime ever made. I gave it 10 out of 10. It's incredible. Like, I remember, there was a time when there were rumours going around that Guillermo del Toro was going to make a HBO TV series of this, like an adaptation. Yeah, not sure how well that would have come out, but I could totally understand why that was on the table and would have been a thing. Like, it's a very, very good show, and something that if you somehow haven't seen yet, which I guess is entirely possible. That's the other thing, I suppose. Like, you know, it only came out, 15 episodes only came out on DVD. It was on Netflix, but without a dub. Like, it's not been accessible really. So at least not easily. So yeah, it's quite possible a lot of people haven't seen it. You definitely should. It's one of the greatest anime ever made. There's a reason why it has this huge fandom behind it. So yeah, I can understand totally without a doubt why that was pretty much everyone's favourite announcement. But if you don't live in America or North America, at least, then yeah, it might not have been quite the big reveal, especially if you live in Australia, obviously. But yeah, I long since imported it and watched it many times. So yeah, okay. Then we get into post online only announcements for this Otakon panel. I can't believe how long this video is. How is this happening again? Anyway, let's keep trucking. So, next up, Project Arms on DVD here is coming to standard definition on Blu-ray. This is, man, there was that time about 4 years ago. You can even go back on my channel and see the haul videos. Not that you need to, but you could. Where I basically went on a run to get all of the Discotek DVD sets that I'd been dragging my feet on, because DVD was clearly, you know, on the way out for Discotek. They said as much. So I was like, I'm going to go and get all the DVD stuff that I don't have and would like to have. And yeah, pretty much all that stuff now has been re-released on standard def Blu-ray. This one being one of the last few. And I was actually beginning to think it's probably not going to happen. So guess what I did earlier this year? I watched this. I love this show. This show is so cool. It's super weird, but it's just super cool. So you get these students here that all have these like mechanical like things attached to them, like, or they can like make like the main guy here can turn his arm into like this giant monster arm thing. This guy's got two crazy like legs. This guy has got like another arm that kind of turns into this huge like sharp thing here, and the girl at the back has got, I think it was her eye. Is it her eyes? I think that allowed her to see certain things. Anyway, so it's like a weird supernatural, superhero, superpower type sci-fi story. This first series is cell animated, and it's really, really good in terms of how it looks. I don't know, maybe it's just I hadn't watched anything cell animated for a while at that point. I don't know, it just looked really, really cool, and especially when you compare it to the second season, which is early SD digital. So yeah, the first 25, 26 episodes are cell animated, the second half is early digital, and the like drop in detail, I swear, is so vast in terms of like their actual arms, like the weird mechanical monster shit that comes out of them looks so much worse in the second season. But I really, really enjoyed the story across the whole thing. I was really, really invested in it. I really like this guy with the longer hair. I can't remember his name. It's really annoying. I only watched it a few months ago and I've already forgotten everyone. Hayato, I believe, is the name of this one over here. I really liked him in the dub. The dub is a bit saucy. They add like some swear words and stuff that just aren't in the original Japanese. But I think it just elevates it to, it's not like manga entertainment levels of like swearing and stupidity, but when they do it, it's just really fun. And like, I can understand why people might not like what they did with Hayato, where they kind of do amp him up a bit, and like he's a way more sassy and saucy with his language and things in the dub. But I really liked him. He's such an asshole, but like a lovable asshole.
Huh? Well, look what the cat just puked up. Kill any other teams while you were gone?
I could ask the same thing of the two of you. So, is this where you two go when you need some alone time?
So many good comebacks, so little time.
I don't know. So yeah, Project Arms is really, really fun. This only adapts the first two arcs of the manga. There is a third arc that never got made, but to be quite honest, you will not feel shortchanged in the slightest. Like, this story gets a beginning, a middle, and as far as I'm concerned, an end. Like, it's an ending. Like, it just is. I don't know what that third arc is in the manga. I'm sort of curious to find out, but like, because it just doesn't feel like there needs to be anymore. So yeah, this is definitely worth watching it with that in mind as well, that if you have heard that the manga continues, it does, but quite frankly, you're not missing anything as far as I can tell. So yeah, Project Arms, really, 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 really cool. You should definitely get the standard definition Blu-ray if you like superhero type shows with like a bit more of a darker side to them. Project Arms is really fun. I did a really, really shit job of talking about it because I've been in this boiling room for ages, but I don't know, it's really cool. You should definitely check it out. Anyway, what's after that? Higurashi, obviously, I think it was at the last panel they announced that they were going to be doing the original series of Higurashi, one of many companies to put that out now. So yeah, here's my copy. I have the Siren Visual Australian DVD release for Higurashi, because I don't know, like I mean, I talked about this in the previous video, I just don't really have much interest in watching this series, but I did buy it all once upon a time because it's one of those, you know, famous shows that's just passed me by and I've never watched. I keep thinking one day I will, one day, but that day just doesn't seem to ever come. I just never seem to want to actually start watching it because it just doesn't inherently, like the whole yandere thing and all that sort of stuff, and I don't know how much of that is in here. I just know that, you know, cute girls and bloody violence, it doesn't really interest me a whole lot. But anyway, so yeah, Higurashi season 1, and now they're going to be doing season 2 here. I have the Siren Visual DVDs, part 1, part 2 for Kai, which is the second series, and then I do have the Sentai Blu-ray for Ray, Higurashi When They Cry Ray, which was only 5 episodes. It says season 3. I've always think of it as an OVA, but yeah, this was actually made in true HD, unlike the other 2 seasons. So I decided to pick up the Sentai Blu-ray for this one. I mean, you see it here. They're like these, like that girl's crazy eyes there, mirrored. See, yeah, just that sort of. It just doesn't. Maybe if I just watched it, I'd be fine. Like I do remember. Like, I do really like Chaos Head, and there's one of the things that really sticks in my mind from Chaos Head, you know, those eyes, whose are they, is this moment where the guy is walking across, like, either side of a river. He's walking on one side, and he sees this blonde woman, and like he thinks she's like staring at him with like these crazy fucking eyes, and we see it, and then he like basically looks back at her, and she's like looking normal again, and things like that. So, you know, that's stuck in my mind, and it's not something negative. It's something like, oh man, that was like really effective, and you know, not a jump scare as such, but like, whoa, that's creepy, and things like that. And I remember enjoying that stupid show. And the Chaos Head is kind of similar, I imagine, to this. Maybe this is way more over the top. Like in my mind, Higurashi is a cross between Chaos Head and like another. That's sort of how I think of it. I don't know how much of that is true or not, but yeah. I mean, I basically, I also own it all already, so I will probably just keep these and go with these. I mean, Discotek have upscaled, as did Sentai, these ones. Obviously in America, well, no, Sentai did do DVD releases of this as well, I believe, although it was interlaced and kind of crappy looking. I assume this probably looks the same. But yeah, the Discotek did say that for Kai they have cleaned it up a bit and it should look a lot nicer and shouldn't have any of the problems that the Sentai release had. But I don't know, in general, I already own it all already, so if I'm ever going to watch it, I'll probably just continue to keep these and eventually do that. The only advantage to buying the Discotek versions would be that they'd all line up and look nice together, and also they'd save space, because takes up quite a lot of space. Anyway, whatever. Higurashi. I do apologise for not being more excited about that, but again, it's been out multiple times already, and it's just not something that massively appeals to me, to be honest, as we've already gone over. Okay, next one. Zone of the Enders, Sunrise 2001 Mecha Show. Really happy about this one. Again, like, this is probably my second favourite announcement of the panel, because it's just the sort of stuff I love to see come out. The thing that I'm really excited about this one is I've never owned it before. I've never been able to get my hands on Zone of the Enders. I don't think ADV ever did like a hugely compact release for this. I know they did volumes, obviously, and probably an art box. Fin packs, but I can't recall if they ever did like an actual compact release that wasn't like massive. Like, they might have done one of those ones where it comes in like a DVD case, but it's one of those ones that's massively wide and stupid. They might have done that with Zone of the Enders. I can't recall, but yeah. And the cool thing about Zone of the Enders is that despite the fact it's a 2001 anime, it's made in HD. So I originally, as I was watching the panel, I thought Brady might have been mistaken, because I was aware that the movie or OVA thing, Adolo, I believe it's called. It's like a 50-minute, 1 hour thing. I don't know if it's a prequel or whatever it is, but like it was cel animated, and that's available in HD and looks really, really nice. Has a nice scan for it. Looks really cool. The TV series, I'm pretty darn sure, is digitally made. At least the characters are digital for sure. The backgrounds might not be, but I'm pretty sure they are. Like whatever. I'm pretty sure it's a digital show. But like I said, made in 2001. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's digital. But so at the time, I thought maybe Brady's mistaken. Maybe just thought, he saw Adolo and that being HD, and he thought, oh, okay, the whole thing's in HD. But no, I actually looked it up, and the Japanese Blu-ray does look really nice. I don't know what black magic stuff they did, but or even needed to. Like, maybe it's just a case like 12 Kingdoms, where it just was either made in HD despite being done in like 2001, or looks like it was anyway. Like, it's just very clean and very nice looking. Doesn't seem to have any of like the earmarks or whatever, hallmarks, I can't speak today, of like an upscale, like smeary line detail and any of that. It looks really clean and sharp and nice. So yeah, doubly excited for that now. Zone of the Enders. I've never played the video games. I do have them because I think they were on PlayStation Plus back in the day, on PS3. So I believe I do have the HD collections of those. I've never been a fan of wow, can't remember his freaking name right now. The Metal Gear Solid guy. How can I not remember his name right now? It begins with like, it's like H and K, isn't it? I'm pretty darn sure. Give me a sec. Yes, it's H and K. It's Hideo Kojima. Obviously, I can't believe my brain just wasn't even close to getting that for some reason. But yeah, so yeah, it's obviously based on the video games that he made. I don't know how close it is to the video game story or not. Yeah, it's just something I've always wanted, so, and wasn't able to get my hands on it. Now I will be able to, and I'm excited about that. Okay, and then the final anime thing for Discotek is man, where are they? Okay, so yeah, the final thing for Discotek is Shin Aim for the Ace. So this is the remake of this series from about 4 or 5 years earlier. This came out in 1973, 1978, so yeah, 5 years earlier. So yeah, Aim for the Ace got a remake 5 years after it was made. The only other anime I can think of that even comes close to that is Fullmetal Alchemist, but obviously Fullmetal Alchemist had reasons for that. Aim for the Ace does have reasons, but it's still kind of weird. So basically this show wasn't wholeheartedly like true to the manga, or at least perfectly so, or whatever. And also the show was cancelled. It wasn't doing so great, but on reruns it did really, really well. Those reruns led to eventually a movie being made. This movie is 2 hours long, and it tells basically the same story, sort of, with changes. But yeah, it's basically the same story as the original series. And then and then because the reruns were doing well, they decided to just redo the series. Let's do it again and do it properly this time. So they redid the series. So that's what Discotek are putting out. I will buy this. It's cool. It's coming out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sort of frustrated because we got this right, which is Aim for the Ace, another match. This is the basically Aim for the Ace 2. This is the mid or to late 80s. I think it's late 80s OVA. It's like 12 episodes. It's a sequel, from what I understand, to something here. I assume the original series. It continues the story, adapts more of the manga, whatever. There is another OVA called Aim for the Ace, the Final Match, which came out in the early 90s. I think it's another 12 episodes or something. And that, I assume, is the end of the adaptation of the manga, or at the very least, it's definitely the end of the anime. It's the last thing they ever did. Where's that? That's what I wanted. That's what I thought was getting announced. But no, they're putting out the remake of the remake. Like, they're putting out the same thing for basically the third time, which is fine. It's great. I want it. It's cool. Like, I'll get it. It's a nice completion piece. But man, I want the final match first. Like, that kind of, like, again, spoiled brat or whatever. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the final match is just not available for some reason. It would be weird. I'm pretty sure it's still a TMS thing, like everything else, I think. Well, no, I know some of this was Madhouse. Like maybe the original series is Madhouse, or no, the original series is TMS. I swear, I think Shin Aim for the Ace might be the one that's Madhouse. I can't remember, to be honest. I can't remember. But anyway, I don't know if there's some reason why the final match can't come out. It's just weird they don't even mention it. I mean, I suppose they don't want to if they're A, maybe going to put it out later, or B, if they can't, it's better to just not mention it at all, I suppose. I don't know, but it's just sort of weird. I assume it'll come out eventually, but I don't know why it's not happening yet. Yeah, he's got the logos on the back. So yeah, that one's TMS, that one's TMS, that one's TMS. I swear Madhouse worked on one of them. But they're all TMS. I mean, if it's if the final match is TMS, maybe Madhouse did the final match, and that's the problem. I can't remember, but yeah, if TMS worked on the final match, there's no reason for that not to come out. So I don't really know what the hold up is. Because yeah, I would have preferred that first, and then got Shin Aim for the Ace. But again, it'll happen eventually. I suppose my main frustration comes from the fact that I want to watch the series, but I'd rather just have it all first. And if they're gonna put out the final match, I'd rather wait for that to come out and watch their version first, because it will have potentially a better translation on it and things like that for the subtitles, because it has been fan subbed, but I don't know how good those fan subs are for the final match. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, that's the end of the Discotek anime. Like I said, Zegapain is my favourite. Zoni Enders I'm excited for. Monster is obviously great, but that's coming out. Castle Cagliostro dub is really, really cool. In general though, like, I mean, the Sergeant Frog movies, like, again, lots of really cool stuff. None of it really blew my mind in the way that obviously Monster did. And it kind of reflected last year in a similar way, although actually going back and watching, or like skipping through my last year's panel video, they announced a lot of killer stuff last year. Like loads, like Harlock and Dalos and Giant Gorg and like just tons of really cool stuff. And then they ended on Kite, which was a bit of a disappointment, but they announced a load of really cool stuff. I believe that was last year's Otakon panel. And I feel like this year just didn't quite live up to that same hype. I don't know, throw in one 80s mecha and I'm probably super happy. That's kind of the other thing as well, because like Zegapain and Zone of the Enders are both like Sunrise mecha shows, and like we got obviously King Gaina relatively recently. I want some of the older stuff, and I don't. We've been getting that, but like I feel like they've sort of moved away from that for a while now. At least it feels that way. At least with samurai stuff, because like Giant Gorg was a re-release of something they'd already put out on DVD. It did do Leisner, but I just know it's like, again, Spore Brat. I just feel like it's been a while and I want more of it. I don't know. Like, I know that V Farm, which is like one of the classic samurais mecha of the 80s, does have a HD scan. I'd love to have that on Blu-ray, although there's a load of OVAs and sequels for that, so maybe that's more complicated. I don't know. Metal Armor Dragonar, isn't it called? I believe from like 1987 or something, is like one of the mecha series from the 80s that I know is really highly revered, that I've never seen, and that has a HD scan as well. Heavy Metal Elgime, I believe, got a Blu-ray in Japan over the last few years. That's another one I'd like. So I don't know, it's just like a few. And then there's all the stuff from the 90s, and obviously they did Gal Gaigar, but they haven't done any of the other Brave stuff. And like there's a whole 4 or 5 like Brave series, I think 5, that came out before Gal Gaigar, which is technically the last of those. So yeah, I don't know, Spoil Brat and all that, I would just like some more of that as well. But, you know, there's time, so hopefully that stuff will come in the future. Anyway, so actually speaking of samurais, the Animeigo announced 2 things, anime things. So they're doing a Hotori Simply Wishing for Hope, which is like a mid-2000s sunrise OVA about like a little kid assassin robot things that I don't know anything about. I think it's only like a 40-minute OVA or something from, like I said, the mid-2000s, like 2003, 2004 or something, early 2000s, I guess. Whatever. So yeah, yeah, don't know anything about that. It's subtitle only. It's going to be upscaled to Blu-ray, obviously. No idea if that'll look particularly great, but yeah, that one I'm really not sure about. That's one of the first ones I'm looking at where I'm like, maybe I won't collect everything Animeigo, which is a healthy mindset to have. I don't need to collect everything Animeigo put out. That's stupid. And maybe this is the first one I'm looking at where I'm going, I could probably live without that. I could probably live without that. So yeah, we'll see. But that's one I could probably live without. So and then they did an update for Blackjack, which is really exciting in the sense that Blackjack will include open matte high definition. So before, when we talked about Blackjack in the, I don't know, whenever they announced it, Animeigo announced it, and you know, they came out and said, hey, you know, the widescreen will be in HD, but they did say we're planning to include full screen and widescreen. But you know, there was no definitive word on whether the full screen version will be in standard definition only, because when it was released on Blu-ray in Japan, they only released it as HD widescreen versions. The Blackjack OVAs from the early 90s are widescreen safe in that they were made theatrically, or but made to be put out theatrically as well as OVAs. So yes, they were animated in full screen, but all, yeah, given they knew they were going to release them theatrically in widescreen, so everything was taken in consideration. So yeah, cutting the top off and the bottom off isn't the end of the world. So I was thinking, well, it won't be the end of the world if we only get the widescreen stuff in HD. Then yeah, that's all we get, I guess. And then the full screen stuff maybe in standard def like it did for Romeo and the Black Brothers, or Romeo Blue Sky, whatever. But yeah, they said that the open matte version, so that'd be the full screen version, will be in HD as well, which is super cool. And you're actually getting both options, which is even cooler. So yeah. And then Alien 9, weird one, and this is another weird one, like Project Arms. I've owned this for years and years and years. Years and years and years. Like, I swear I probably had this for like 13 years before I finally decided to watch it earlier this year. Really liked it. It wasn't like incredible or anything, but it reminded me of a certain style of anime that I feel like kind of doesn't exist very much anymore. It's very early 2000s, I suppose. There's a lot of like psychological horror, philosophical type storytelling. And again, like I don't know, I feel like a lot of that stuff just doesn't exist anymore, or if it does exist, I'm just not seeking it out because it's getting lost by the wayside of endless fucking isekai. But not that I'm watching that either, to be honest. But yeah, like that sort of anime does still exist because I watch Sunny Boy, which I absolutely adored. So they do still occasionally make those sort of shows. Anyway, Alien 9 is sort of a bit like that, and like fully coolie type stuff. Like it's fun, and now it's going to be coming to Blu-ray from Animeigo. I don't know how it will look because this is a digital production. Yeah, it was a digital production made in like the early 2000s, like 2001, I believe is when this came out, I think. So yeah, this is the old Central Park Media DVD. I will probably upgrade for the Blu-ray. I'm sure it will look better than this, at least a little bit. So yeah, Alien 9 is coming. Right. That's all the anime. We're really going to zip through the rest of this because I can't believe how long this fucking video is. It's so much longer than I ever anticipated. So, cartoon stuff. Only 2 things. One of them's not even new. Okay, so the one that's new is Mega Man is coming to standard definition on Blu-ray. It's new in the sense that it's coming to Blu-ray, although standard def. It's a new release with new extras, a fixed episode 1 I've put here, and a commentary with the Mega Man voice actor for the first and final episodes. Yeah, so this is the US cartoon that was made back in the day, in the 90s. It was previously put out on DVD by Discotek many years ago. I have no love for Mega Man, unfortunately. It's just, those games are way too freaking hard. I bought, what is it, the Mega Man Legends, like the PS1, it had like the PS1 game on it, which is like, I think X, no, it wasn't X, was it, or was it? I can't remember. I bought one of the Mega Man compilation games. It wasn't the ones that included the games from the NES. It might have been X Legends 1, I believe. Mega Man X Legends 1, maybe. Maybe it didn't have Legend in the title. I can't remember. But it had like one of the PS1 games that looked really cool. I liked the style of it. But man alive, those games are so hard, and I just didn't get on with it. I don't think I got a single trophy in it or anything. Like, those games are stupidly difficult. I knew that going in, but yeah, didn't anticipate them being as hard as that, and I just wasn't willing to learn, unfortunately. I just kind of wanted to jump in and mess around, and they weren't really good for that. So yeah, I just have no love for Mega Man, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm not really too bothered about this release, but it's cool it's coming out. I like the look of the extras, and obviously, as usual, Brady has smashed it out of the park with the packaging. It looks incredible. And then we got to see a closer look at the packaging for Darkstalkers, previously announced last year or in the New Year's panel or something. So this is also the American cartoon version. I did actually pick up. So yeah, I picked up the Street Fighter Standard Def Blu-ray. I still have the DVD of their old release of this. But yeah, these newer versions, nice and compact, and the packaging looks great. And this one has loads of commentaries on it. Obviously, the Darkstalkers release is going to have a few commentaries. I don't think it's going to be for every episode or something. I can't remember. Probably not. But yeah, it's going to have some commentaries on it as well. And that was the only cartoon stuff they were doing. Darkstalkers is new. Mega Man is a re-release or something they've already done. Man. And then there was 3 tokusatsu releases. So Kamen Rider Amazon was the first one. I believe this is the 4th. I didn't actually write this bit down, but I believe this is the 4th Kamen Rider series, because there's V3, which is actually the 2nd, then there's X, which was the 3rd. I believe this is the 4th one, and the shortest one. And then we'll skip Kakaido for a second. So yeah, Kamen Rider Amazon, and then they also did Kamen Rider Stronger, which is the 5th Kamen Rider series. So at the moment, Discotek have put out the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and then the 2 Black series, which I believe are the 9 and 10th. Because there's 2 more here that I've written down. So there's Sky Rider and Super 1. And once they do those, the Showa era will be complete, apart from the first ever Kamen Rider series, which I know got a DVD release back in the day. I can only assume the rights for that are tangled somewhere in a weird way. Or maybe Shout Factory did it, I don't know, it's possible I suppose. But once they presumably almost certainly do Sky Rider and Super One as well, the complete original Showa era, so from like the early 70s up to like the late 80s, all that Kamen Rider stuff will be out, which is pretty cool, and on Blu-ray as well, which is pretty cool. I don't have any interest in buying any of it because it's just too expensive, and I don't imagine I would ever watch it all, unfortunately. But it's really cool that's all coming out. It also means that I don't know how much more Kamen Rider they'll be doing past Sky Rider and Super One, because I know that Shout Factory have done a lot of the stuff in the 2000s, although I say a lot, obviously in the panel Mike Tool alluded to the fact that now Discotek will have put out more Kamen Rider than Shout Factory, so maybe there's actually a ton of like the more modern stuff that Discotek could be doing at some point too. Anyway, those two Kamen Rider series are coming out, and I assume at some point you should definitely expect Sky Rider and Super One as well. And then, so yeah, the Kakaida thing we skipped over, Kakaida 01, this is presumably the second Kakaida series. As I mentioned in the past, I believe that of all the Tokusatsu releases, the thing that I'm most tempted by is Kakaida. It is out now. I have so far managed to resist temptation. It seems silly, but honestly, it is because, I mean, I really don't want to get into this right now because this video is so long, but like, I have basically caught up with Discotek. So in terms of their anime stuff, so whenever anything new gets announced, like, it's really not adding much to my need to buy pile from Discotek. Like, I have so much Discotek stuff already, like, so it's like if I were to start buying the Tokusatsu stuff, that really just opens a whole can of worms. I'm just like, man, that and Sunny, there's loads of stuff to get, and I just feel like if I buy Kakaida, I'm opening that door, and I just don't think I'd ever watch it all. It's so much stuff. I already have so much anime to watch. I just don't think I'd ever watch it all. So I'm trying to avoid buying Kakaida because I feel like it would just open the floodgates, rather. Can of worms, shall we say. It'll just open the floodgates. And that's not good. So there's so much Tokusatsu, and it's sort of hard to resist because I know at some point it'll all disappear and these sets will be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you want them. Like, they'll be like gold dust. In fact, they'll probably be rarer than gold dust. Yeah, they will be worth a fortune once these all go out of print because they're just probably not going to come out again. So yeah, it's this difficult thing, real FOMO, but I'm just trying to avoid it because I just don't think, one, I don't really have the space for it, and two, I just don't think I'd have the time to watch it all. Even if, because I'm caught up with Discotek, I am in an enviable position of being able to say that I could probably afford to slowly collect it all. I could, because I'm not buying Discotek anime stuff anymore because I've got it all. How amazing is that? I mean, I don't have literally all of it. I have all the stuff I want. There's a big difference. If I, it would be double the size, my collection, if I decided to buy everything, which I do not want to do, thankfully. So anyway, whatever. Kakaida 01. This one's only standard definition on Blu-ray. Looks really rough. As far as they're aware, the film masters do exist, but the work just hasn't been done, so they're just going to hedge their bets, put it out now, and maybe in the future they'll do an upgrade. Anyway, and then finally, there's two Nihon Night ones. There's Bangkok Dangerous. So this is a Thai action film that was remade by Nicolas Cage in the mid-2000s. I no interest in this film, to be honest, quite frankly. Honestly, when it comes to like Asian action films, I'm much more inclined to go for like the Hong Kong heroic bloodshed and martial art films, which is currently what Shout Factory are doing thanks to their deal with Golden Harvest. I think they just bought like basically the whole library, so they're going to be putting out tons of stuff that I'm going to find really hard not to get in time. Like, they've already done a Jet Li collection, they're going to do Peking Opera Blues, which I've always wanted to get, and I assume at some point they'll do most of Cherry on Fat stuff like Hard Boiled. I mean, they're already doing City on Fire. you know, The Killer, A Better Tomorrow, like all that stuff. I'm gonna want all that. So that's the stuff I care about when it comes to Asian action cinema, like the Jackie Chan stuff as well. That's kind of my jam, and like outside of that, I'm just not really that interested, to be honest. That's not to say these movies are probably bad, or at least Bangkok Dangerous, mate. It's probably not a bad movie or anything. It's just not. I'm not willing to dive that deep when there's all this other stuff I'm interested in already, and it's fine. Don't need to buy everything, but yeah, like I'm just explaining why I'm not really that bothered about this movie coming out, but it's cool that it is. Yeah, Bangkok Dangerous. And then, oh my god, SARS Wars Bangkok Zombie Crisis. So yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. It looks cheesy, stupid. Um, yeah, this is the sort of stuff that I mean, Discotek kept going on, or Mike Tool and Co. went on about a lot. That Discotek have been around for like 20 years now. They originally started in 2005, and you know the first few years outside of like, I think they did like 3 anime before they did Fist of the North Star. They did, or 4 anime. They did Puss in Boots, Animal Treasure Island, Taro the Dragon Boy or something, which they've not re-released so far, and then they did the Fuma Conspiracy, Lupin III, the Fuma Conspiracy, and then eventually they started working on Fist of the North Star in 2010. But like in between all that, like between 2005 and 2010, outside of those 4 anime I mentioned, like they did loads of like Hong Kong, Chinese, Thai, like all sorts of like random Asian action horror sci-fi films. And yeah, like it's part of Discotek's history. It's not a part of their history I particularly am fond of. So these callbacks like this one don't really interest me a whole lot. So yeah, Star Wars Bangkok Zombie Crisis, whatever, man. I don't know, like just not, yeah, it's not interested at all. And that was the last of the Discotek stuff. And then we'll very, very briefly touch on the 2 Animeigo live action things as part of their Whole Grain Pictures, because it was part of the panel. Big Boobs Buster is coming to 4K. Apparently this isn't a pinky violence film or anything like that. When I first saw it, I assumed, oh, it's probably like those Keko Carmen films that Discotek did. But it's not. Apparently it's not pornographic in the slightest. The little phrase or whatever that was on the slide for the anime, you can probably see it here, was that you know, this is like the weirdest body positivity movie or something ever made. I have like no interest in this, but it's kind of crazy that Animeigo are going to be putting it out in 4K. So yeah, that's mad. So yeah, Big Boobs Buster in 4K, part of V Cinema. Which when I first saw that, when the slide said that, you know, the trailer on the Blue Sky thread or whatever said, now some V Cinema, and I thought V Cinema, this is how much I don't know about stuff. I just immediately assumed, oh, that probably means Vietnamese cinema or something, because Whole Grain Pictures has already put out a Vietnamese film, so I just assumed it was going to be that. But obviously when it started, I was like, okay, probably not, this looks quite Japanese, and it is. Anyway, and then a film called Mars from a comedy troupe that I've heard of, and that's the beginning and end of my knowledge of The Whitest Kids You Know, a sketch comedy group from like the mid-2000s, apparently done like this animated film as like their final project or something, I believe it is, and it's called Mars, and it came out last year, I believe, or maybe hadn't even, or maybe this year, I can't remember. Anyway, it's coming out via Whole Grain Pictures on Blu-ray. Obviously that's not Asian related or anything, it's an American film, or Canadian, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that's that. That's everything. That's all, folks. Yeah. Man. Yeah. I mean, I touched on it at the beginning. Overall, I thought this year's Otakon panel was a slight disappointment. I know, again, Monster is incredible, but I already had it and have owned it complete for years and years and years. So, but I'm very happy about that. And then like Zegapain is cool, Cagliostro dub is cool, Zone of the Enders is cool, but you know, no truly earth-shattering announcements for me. Like no vault finds, unfortunately. So no like new film scans of like classic anime for the first time, which, you know, that couldn't last forever, but I was hoping we'd get a few more, but that seems to not be the case. We never got the fabled Mad Ball 34, which makes me very sad. And then, especially since it probably would have happened if not for some reason the license changing, it's, you know, going from something they could license to something they somehow now can't. It's so frustrating, because otherwise I believe that definitely would have happened and we would have had that on Blu-ray. But yeah, so nothing like that, and then no classic giant robot show or any, you know, no more World Masterpiece Theatre. You know, we got Romeo Blue Skies, that's a huge thing to have happened, and I feel like it would, like, I was sort of hoping that maybe there'd be more. I know it's not as simple as that, but I was still sort of hoping there might be more coming, and maybe there will be, but clearly not for the foreseeable future. So yeah, like, just in general, it was a lot of re-releases from Discotek, be it rescues from the past or stuff that they're rescuing from themselves, like re-releasing old DVDs and putting them out on standard def Blu-ray and things like that. So yeah, it was so-so, and the Animeigo's Otakon thing was actually like genuinely disappointing. Like, Alien 9's fine, it's interesting, that's cool, like, but like I've seen it now. It didn't necessarily blow me away. I liked it, but like, it's not amazing. And then that Sunrise like OVA also doesn't really get me particularly excited, unlike the stuff they've been putting out previously. You know, they did originally some real heavy hitters, and I feel like these two are, I mean, Alien 9's cool, but there is a part of me just feels like these are slightly less exciting, but presumably, at least with that Sunrise OVA, probably quite a cheap license, I would imagine. So, yeah, I'm probably going to stop talking now because my voice is on the verge of death, and at some point I'll have to edit all this. I hope you get to see this video. I do have a habit of making videos and never actually editing them because I'm not happy with what I said, but I'm sure that will happen this time. I don't know when to expect another video, outside of the fact that we now know that Discotek's next panel won't be till January, so it looks like it really is going to be just 2 panels a year now. Personally, I don't mind, because that means there's only going to be 1 panel a year where I have to stay up till the middle of the night to watch it. So I don't actually care, because the Otakon panels always tend to be on at a normal time for me. Like, this was on at 8 o'clock in the evening for me, which was lovely. And then if the next time I have to stay up until 2 a.m. just for it to start, and then about 5 a.m. in the morning once it's finished, like, is January next year, then that's fine with me too. It's fine. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I'm going to mention this right now. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't plan to post on Twitter anymore, but I do post on Blue Sky. I just wanted to get away from a lot of the crap on Twitter. I know, like, it is avoidable, but like, I just found it really difficult to get away from it. And that wasn't necessarily just all the American crap. Like, there's loads of horrible stuff going on in the UK all the time, and Twitter just like platforms all that stuff like crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to get away from it. Like, the only time I go on Twitter now is really to look at football highlights, because those are still tied to Twitter due to licensing, or, you know, how those deals were signed. So that's basically the only time I ever go on there. So yeah, if you want to follow me more regularly, because I don't know how often I'll be making videos, especially at the moment, due to other things, circumstances. So yeah, if you want to follow me and just my general musings on things, then yeah, I'm on Blue Sky, link in the description. So yeah, I'm in Blaze. Thanks for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. Tell me about all your thoughts to do with the panel as well in the comments. I would quite happily read them and reply to that. So yeah, I'm in Blaze. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is.